Sounds good.
And I'll start off with the unavoidable first question.
Yeah.
You've been to this town before 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give a little highlights of what has happened since that moment?
Oh man, oh, wow. Well, we signed a deal with Napalm Records for our new album, Cold Was the Ground, that just recently came out. And basically, from that time, since the last time we played Leeuwarden, we worked on writing the new record, and then we recorded it, and we signed the deal with Napalm. Now the album's out, and we're trying to just really push the new album, and push and trying to build our exposure and build our band up. So it's been a lot of touring and a lot of playing, and then we worked real hard on writing this new record. So I think the last time we played Leeuwarden, it was right before we started writing the record, the new one. So after that European tour, then we started working on writing Cold Was the Ground, and now we're back with it. So.
You also have a new bass player.
Yeah, it's the same bass player from when we played Leeuwarden last time.
Yeah, but before that, I heard you had a lot of other bass players.
We've had a lot of bass
in between.
players. Yeah, we had a lot. We've had probably 10 bass players. But that tour that you saw us on in Leeuwarden, that was his first European tour with us. And now he's been with us for about a little over 2 years now. And he's amazing. So he's staying. We're not getting rid of him. Everyone else just didn't fit well and just wasn't I'm really picky, and so is my drummer. It's got to be perfect, and they got to be, really good at it, and they've got to be exactly what we want. And Michael, who our new bass player is more than what we could have ever asked for.
It fits together like
it not only
like a puzzle.
Yeah, but not only does it fit together, having him in the band has made the band so much better. Our new record is so much better than any of our others. And I put a lot of it because of Michael, the new bass player. He's been a huge part of the band. Probably the single best thing we've done for the band was getting him in it.
Okay.
Since me and Brian started it,
Yeah, but because I was thinking, wasn't your drummer once a bass player also?
Yeah, he was. He wasn't a very good bass player though, and then we kicked our drummer out. And I told my drummer, that Brandon, who was the bass player at the time, I said, you gotta learn how to play drums. Because the band could continue with drums and guitar, but it couldn't continue with bass and guitar. Yeah. And he wasn't a very good bass player anyways, and he had never played drums before. And then he started playing drums, and he's an incredible drummer. So that's his instrument. He tried playing bass, and it was like, but once he picked up the drums, it was...
The magic was there.
Yeah, exactly. It was amazing. So, and then we went through a lot of bass players, and finally we found Michael, and we're happy.
When I look back at the band, it was once formed because you wanted to pay a tribute to a good friend of yours who passed away.
Yeah.
When you look back at what has happened since then, did you expect the band to be together after 8 years still?
That's a good question, actually. A lot of people ask me about. That's actually a really good question, because a lot of interviewers ask me, like, how would your friend feel about this, or why did you start with that? But no one's ever asked me, did you think you'd still be together over this period of time from back then? And I don't know. I
once read you said you expect to do one show and make maybe one album, and that was it.
Yeah, that was, I just was kind of, when it happened, I was in a really bad place in my life, and, I just wanted to make a record, and I wanted to play a really kick-ass rock and roll show, and then if whatever happens, I just die right then and there, then I could die right there. that's how my mindset was. I was just in a really like dark place, and I don't know if I would have. I definitely don't think that back then I would have been able to make it this far and come this much further along. I always wanted to. It was always my dream to push this as hard as possible, and it was always the only thing I ever wanted. But deep down, let's say this, deep down I knew that I could do this, and I knew that this band could continue. I didn't know if it was going to be this band or if it was going to be another band, but I knew that music was what I was going to do for my entire life. But on the outside, I probably would have said, no, we wouldn't have been together this long. So,
Right.
that's a good question, though. That actually got me thinking. Most interviews, it's like the same questions over and over, and so I just answer. But that one got me thinking good, so I like that one.
Thank you. I was thinking, we were just talking about your new bass player, but you also mentioned you have a new label.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get in touch with Napalm Records?
We started just briefly talking over the internet before our last Europe tour, and then on our last European tour, they came out to a couple shows that we played, and then we talked more there, and they asked, they said they wanted to sign us, and so after that tour, then the negotiating started, and so yeah, just playing live and having them get to know us through live shows, and then talking over the internet on wanting to work together. So
I was also kind of surprised because you are normally known as a metal label.
yeah.
And you're definitely not a metal band.
No, we're not. But they were interested in it, and they have a lot of power, and they've got a lot of good reach, and it was probably the best offer that was coming at the table at the time. So we jumped on it. Like you gotta take risks. If you don't take any risks, then you're not gonna succeed.
It's part of life.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's tough. It was hard to give our record away to a big label, it's a big change. Our last record was on a small label called Karate Body Records, and, it was kind of a no-risk deal, we weren't gonna get real well known from it, but...
Oh, that was the Buffalo album?
Yeah, and we weren't, the label was smaller, but...
I think you went bigger after that album.
Yeah, we definitely did. But we wanted to reach farther and further and further. If I don't want to stop, and I wanted to sell out Wembley Stadium every night. You know what I mean? I want this band to be huge. I don't want to be an underground band forever that, only I want everyone in this world to know who the Midnight Ghost Train is.
I just wanted to mention that you are better known as a live band.
Yes.
Is it true you play about 9 months a year on the stage?
Yeah. Yes,
wow.
sir.
Isn't that hard?
Yes, sir. It is. Sometimes I think of it as basically I get paid to beat the shit out of myself every night. It's because we're very intense on the stage too. And we move a lot and we're banging our heads, and we put everything into every show, regardless of how many people are there. We put it all out there, and to the point where our bodies are dead, and then every night, day after day, month after month, it gets tough, but
yeah, I was just wondering that. I read in an interview you have arthritis in your back.
I have arthritis in my back.
Isn't that playing up with such a schedule?
Yeah. I have arthritis in my back and my neck, and it definitely makes it tougher, but it's my job, It's what I do. It's what I love, and I look at it as a job. It's something I love to do, but it's also a job. It's how I make money, and it's how I support myself and my family, and I do it professionally. I think that's real important. So yeah, there are some painful things that go along with the job, but
you can still manage to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to just stand there, I mean, we could play the same music and just stand there on stage and just, but I'm about putting on a performance, more than I like to play music, I like to perform for people. Ever since I was a little kid, there's home movies of me dancing and singing Ray Charles songs or whatever. I like to perform, and that's how I view the stage. Because
it's part of being a musician.
Yeah, and it's
the main part.
Right, because they could play our record over the loudspeaker and people could come to the show and just listen to the record. What makes the stage more, why people want to come out, to see us. And it's because you put on a performance for them and you make it enjoyable, They don't want to just hear the record, they want to see you love what you're doing and perform for them, and I think that's very important. So I'll put everything I can into it as long as I possibly can.
Cool.
And the other guys are on the same page, so.
That's also very important.
Mm-hmm.
When I listen to your new album, I think I can hear a lot of influences from older music, like maybe even gospel, country, blues, old rock and roll, of course, hard rock and roll. Maybe that's a better pronunciation of it. But I was wondering, do you also get inspired by newer music? Or newer music styles?
Not too much, to tell you the truth. Not a whole bunch. My main inspirations come from a lot of old blues and stuff, and a lot of old rock and roll, and definitely a lot of the gospel. I would say, like, not just because of my vocals, but Tom Waits is a really big inspiration on the whole band, and I know that a lot of people relate my vocals to Tom Waits, and yes, I am trying to sound like Tom Waits. He is my biggest influence vocally.
Guys?
Yes?
You have an interview at 7?
I'm doing it right now.
Oh.
There's the camera.
Okay, there's someone here for you.
Oh, there's someone else?
Yes.
Okay.
At 7 o'clock?
Alright. I'll finish this one up and I'll do that one.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you.
There's a camera.
But the older music is just the main influence on your music.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Waits is, a lot of his newer stuff I'm really influenced by, and Nick Cave is a big influence for me. Leonard Cohen, I don't know if you would say that is new, but, if you're...
It's music from all times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Tom Waits will
timeless music.
Right, Tom Waits will be popular, or maybe not popular, but people will be able to listen to Tom Waits from the 1920s till 2050, it's music that is just timeless, and it'll, and that, I'm not really into new, like, stoner rock or metal and stuff like that, and, it's a lot of the blues and a lot of the other things, and I think that helps keep our band sounding different from other bands. If I was just listening to the Metallica or all that stuff all the time, we would sound like that.
Yeah. You mentioned Tom Waits. On your latest album, there's a song, and I think you already know which song I'm asking about. Little Sparrow.
Yes.
Is it true that it was recorded in one take?
Yeah.
In some kind of improvisation?
Yeah, it was completely improvised, and it was one take. We had a different idea for that track. Our original idea was like an acoustic song, and it was kind of lame, and it was just kind of a filler. We came up with the whole, there were drums and there was bass, and it was okay, but it was just a filler song. It wasn't anything very good, and that was our idea for that track. And for months before we recorded, I just kept telling the band, like, I'm not comfortable with this. I think it's lame. And they were like, what else did we do? We didn't know what else to do. And then the night before we recorded Little Sparrow, I came up with the idea to do this. I was like, maybe we could just do some kind of cool jazzy thing. And I just, that night, the next morning, I woke everyone up, and before we recorded that track, and I was like, I got an idea, you know, and I just like brought Brandon and Mike in there. I was like, Mike, you just play a riff over and over and over. And Brandon, take the brushes and just keep
kind of like a jam session.
Yeah, just keep a beat to it. And then I just did a spoken word thing, and then we added the violin into it. And yeah, it was all just improvised, and it was all just on the spot. And when we were done recording it, you know, I asked the producer, I was like, should we try that again? Like, you know, because I had never done those lyrics before. It was all just off the top of my head, and like, you know, none of us had ever played before. And there's actually a little tiny fuck up in there, but it sounds really good. If you listen real carefully, you can hear a little fuck up on the snare, but it sounds perfect because it comes right, I'll give you the secret, it comes right at the part where I say, when the notes begin to leap. And right there, he misses a snare hit. And it just fits perfect with the lyric that, you know, and he didn't know what the lyrics were, and it's
like it was meant to be.
It was perfect, and we were like, we keep that. It sounded great, but the best part about it all was just, you know, it was all just one take, and I asked the producer, should we try it again? He said, absolutely not. Keep that. You know, that if we tried again, if we tried to do it a second take, we would have tried too hard. You know. We would have tried to emulate what we were doing before, try to make it better or whatever. It was better just to keep it improvised and just on the spot, one take. And to tell you the truth, that's my favorite track on the record. And I love that. I love that track. And it was so much fun to do. So.
I was reading about your dogs.
Yeah.
I heard they were named after two famous musicians.
Yeah, Muddy Waters is the oldest one, and Junior Wells is the younger dog. They're both yellow Labradors. They are my life. They are my. I mean, I love my wife, but you know, my dogs are like the most important thing to me. And my wife will tell you the same thing, that the dogs are, you know, she loves our dogs more than me. They're very, very important to us. We spoil them, and we're very much
kind of like kids.
Yeah, they are our children. You know? You know, they are our children. Yesterday, in fact, my wife called me crying because Junior Wells, the littler one, was being really crazy, and my wife had to take Muddy to the vet, and Junior was being crazy and driving my wife nuts, and she was in a rush, and she was real frustrated, and she yelled at Junior. And she called me crying. She said, like, I feel so bad that I yelled at him, you know, and like, I was like, it's okay, he's gonna be alright, you know, but, you know, they are like kids, you know, it's like if a parent, you know, lost his temper with their child and was like, I'm sorry for losing my temper with you, you know, we love those dogs.
That must also be a hard part for you than being on the road so much.
Yeah, missing them is really tough for me. It's really hard.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, because I mean, I know it sounds stupid to some people, but those dogs are so important to me. They really are. I mean, I would take a bullet for them any second of the day. If it was a choice between my life or theirs, I love them so much. They're just such amazing creatures, you know, especially my dogs. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
I love them.
While you're on tour, I read you are watching a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you have some good movies you've seen recently?
Yeah, well, we, you know, in the States we have a little tiny DVD player that we bring in the van with us. We don't have that over here, and a lot of times going to the theater over here, it's hard to find an English-speaking theater sometimes, in the original version stuff. Yeah. But we still go to movies over here too, but yeah, on days off we love to go to movies. We saw Whiplash, have you heard of that?
Yeah.
That movie blew my mind. We all saw that while we were on tour, and it was a great movie to see with the whole band together, and that was an amazing film. I think that was the best movie of the year for me. Whiplash was really great. Interstellar.
I still have to see it one.
Oh, it was awesome. It was crazy. I mean, if you like 2001: Space Odyssey, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
I was very impressed with this movie. But we were kind of dorks. We like the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know if you've heard of that or you get it over here. It's a comedy show. It's real ridiculous, and we really like that show a lot. But probably the best movie I saw this year was Whiplash for sure. It was phenomenal. Yeah, it was incredible.
Then I have one question left.
Yeah.
I've heard you always wanted to make a jazz album. Can we expect a Midnight Ghost Train album with a lot of jazz?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When we can build up our to give you a little inside secret, like we want to build this band up, and we want to grow, and we want to get a really dedicated fan base. So every show we're going to, every show we're playing is packed, and people know us, and we want to become much more well known. And then when we get that fan base, when we get the strength of the fans with us, we want to just experiment with different stuff. I'd love to make a jazz album. I'd love to make a funk album. I'd love to make like a James Brown sounding funk album with horns, and just be so much fun, and yeah, we don't want to just play heavy, music forever,
People are not supposed to think of when they see the Midnight Ghost Train that it's predictable.
Right. We don't want the same record over and over and over, that's the last thing that we want. At this point, we don't want to lose too many fans by doing something totally out of character for us yet. But once we grow that fan base, absolutely, we're going to do something different. 100%. We get a little taste of it, like the Little Sparrow, like a little taste of something different, but we'd love to do a total album.
Cotton Fields, not
yeah,
to forget.
like Cotton Fields, like totally different stuff. We'd love to do an album of stuff like Little Sparrow and Cotton Fields, like simple, nice, and
the little surprises.
Yeah, we like
what people don't expect.
Exactly.
It's always good.
And I don't see. There's no rules in music, it's not like, oh, we're a heavy rock band, so we have to be a heavy rock band for the rest of the creation of the Midnight Ghost Train. There's no rules, we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, you are the musician at the moment you're on the stage, you are the one who makes the rules.
Right, and so, exactly, like, we could play out of key if we wanted, we could do whatever the hell we want, the drummer can play off time, it doesn't matter, we make the rules of our music. We want to just make sure, and we don't want to play out of key or off time, but we just want to make sure that people will still stick with us when we decide to make those changes and do something different, So, yeah, you can definitely expect something.
Cool.
So.
Well, thanks for the interview.
Yeah, no problem, man.
I'm going to make something nice of it.
Yeah, it was good.
And I'm looking very, very, very much forward to the show tonight.
Yeah, same here. Cool.